See, this ain't gonna work.
Why the fish gone though?
But how though?
Don't leave our children with no fish in their future. Protect our sea. Protect our way of life. Protect the Bahamas. To learn how you can help, find us on Facebook at Bahamas.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
Interviewing cabinet ministers is now a smoother process as OPM's press office has implemented a new system to organize and give the media better access for their interviews. Reporters expressed great relief as the new system brought structure to an archaic practice of reporters having to stake out the entrance of cabinet, hustling to speak with ministers. The media also noted that the smooth process of the new cabinet briefings held in the press room eliminates the difficulty of working in the elements on the outdoors. They now enjoy an air-conditioned room with chairs and proper lighting. We are happy to facilitate access to the media and the information they need to get their jobs done. Keeping you in the know, this is OPM Press Now.
Our invited guests, media colleagues, and those joining us via the stream, good morning and welcome to OPM's weekly press briefing. It is a pleasure to welcome you here today, and we do have a very exciting press briefing planned for you, and without further ado, it's so exciting that I'm going to hurry up, get off the stage because we have a lot to get to you today. So I'm going to invite Press Secretary Clint Watson, who's going to introduce our speakers and then give you some announcements.
Thank you, Jillian. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, invited guests, all of you joining us live via television or streaming. It's another week, and we're here again to talk about the significant progress that the Davis administration is making in its attempt to govern the affairs of the Bahamian people. This morning, we want to focus our briefing heavily on a big week next week, which is the royal visit of the Duke and the Duchess. And so we have the co-chairs of the committee and other members of the committee who are going to talk a little bit about what that visit will look like, how it will impact you, and any questions that our media colleagues may have regarding the visit. We'll take those for you as well. Then, of course, I have a couple of announcements from Prime Minister for you that you want to hear this morning. And then, of course, we're going to talk about a new initiative that's launched online by our climate change advisor here in the office of the Prime Minister. And then, of course, the section I always look forward to, and so does Prime Minister, our small businesses, our food businesses, Bahamian businesses that we highlight every week. We have two of them to highlight today, and we're excited to talk to them this morning. So an exciting day, and of course I know you're just the way Jasper's sitting, I see you have a lot of questions for me, burgeoning questions, and so we'll see how best we can answer those for you this morning. So let's get right to it. I'm going to invite the co-chairs of the organizing committee, Her Excellency Leslie Miller Bryce, and of course Permanent Secretary in the Governor General's office, Jack Thompson, to come and to to address us and give us information on the visit next week. We invite them first, and then after that, we'll have Assistant Commissioner of Police, Ken Strawn, to talk about some of the logistics that you need to be aware of. All right.
Good morning. The official visit of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is scheduled to take place March 24 through 26 on the occasion of Her Majesty's Platinum Jubilee celebrations. The Bahamas welcomes the Duke and Duchess as the United Kingdom continues to be one of our closest friends and allies. In moments of disaster and distress, they've been a constant aid with the British Navy to provide rescue support and relief to impacted islands and communities. Her Majesty's milestone prompted this visit, and the government of the Bahamas seizes this opportunity to showcase the Bahamas as more than sun, sand, and sea, with a keen focus on our people, culture, present challenges, and hope for the future. In Abaco, the Duke and Duchess will see for themselves the impact from Hurricane Dorian and engage the Abaconians about the recovery efforts. We want them to appreciate firsthand the impact that climate change is having on our country and the need for carbon-producing countries to support us. In Grand Bahama, they will visit Coral Vita, which won the Duke's inaugural Earthshot Prize, which supports innovative solutions to the climate crisis. At COP26, the Bahamas began the process of projecting itself as a leading voice in efforts to address the impacts of climate change. Coral Vita is an example of what is possible and what is necessary for the protection of our environment and marine ecosystems. In New Providence, the itinerary will highlight the government's priority in addressing the education loss during the pandemic and celebrate our frontline workers in the ongoing fight against COVID-19. Co-chair P.S. Jack Thompson and I would like to thank scores of Bahamians who have been involved in the planning and executing of this visit. We also would like to thank the Cabinet of the Bahamas for their full support. I must also mention the local organizing committee for their stellar leadership and commitment. Finally, the royal visit cannot be a success without the participation of the Bahamian people, so we look forward to sharing this experience with all of you. Thank you.
Any questions?
If I may, sure, if I may. Good morning to all. Permit me to just add to what Her Excellency would have mentioned just now, in the fact that we seize this opportunity to showcase the Bahamas, our people, and I speak about the friendliness and the charm of our people. Of course, we know about the beautiful islands and the country itself. But we will take this opportunity to showcase the culture of our country, the sporting events, and of course, the talents of the Bahamian people. The Duke and Duchess will start or commence their regional tour by first of all visiting Belize. They'll be in Belize for a couple days. And following their tour there, they will visit Jamaica, where they will be treated to the best of the best in Jamaica. And then there is the Bahamas. We really look forward to it. If I may, I'd just like to give you a rundown of the itinerary, which I think may be useful at this time. And so we expect the arrival on Thursday, the 24th of March, at 4:25 thereabouts at Lyndon Pilling International Airport. They will be received by Mr. Terry Archer, who is Acting Chief of Protocol, and His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Cornelius Smith, will also be on hand to welcome them, along with 2 cabinet ministers, Her Excellency High Commissioner, who heads our secretariat for this exercise, and there will be a royal salute. That is what you say, you roll out the red carpet and you give them all the courtesies. Following their arrival, they will proceed here to the office of the Prime Minister, where there will be the usual courtesies and exchange of gifts, etc., etc. Following the courtesies here, they will proceed to their place of accommodations, and that will close out the first day. On Friday, the 25th of March, we are truly excited about the visit at the Sybil Strawn Primary School, where our Bahamian children will put on a show like you've never seen before. It is a wonderful organized program by the Ministry of Education. The Royal Highnesses will visit the students in their space, in the classroom, and thereafter there will be, as I said, the children, the young people will take to the stage and really show the Bahamas in its finest form. Following that, the Duke and Duchess will proceed to the Garden of Remembrance, or some call it the Cenotaph, where they will meet the healthcare providers or professionals who were very active in the fight against COVID. We also expect to have GGYA, volunteers there, the Governor General's Youth Award. We also hope to have the Red Cross and the Salvation Army members there, some of the leadership. Following the meet and greet with the healthcare and frontline workers and the volunteers, they will then enter into Parliament Square. Parliament Square will be transformed into a cultural mecca like you've never seen before. We have a spectacular cultural show planned there. And of course, we can always provide the details for that particular event. And then they will take a break, and then they will, we expect them to proceed to Montague Harbor, East Bay Street, where there will be a mini regatta, which will be the Queen's Jubilee Platinum Regatta. This is an event that we're all looking forward to. You may not believe it, but they're going to compete against each other. The Duke and her in his vessel, she'll be in her sloop, and they're going at it. This is really spectacular. There are a number of onshore activities planned for that. Following that, they will proceed to their accommodations, and then in the evening there will be a black tie reception at Bahama. On the following day, which is Saturday, we expect to travel to Abaco, and as Her Excellency said earlier, with all this mention about climate change, they'll see Abaco for its first time. They will visit the Daystar Church, and the pastors and some of the members of the church will just talk about the hurricane. This church is one of the many churches that would have been damaged by hurricane, but a lot of the churches were rebuilt since that time. They will also visit and have a demonstration of conch salad, how we prepare our native conch salad and so forth. And then it's on to Grand Bahama. In Grand Bahama, there will be the children's home is the main point there. And they will also visit, as we said earlier, Coral Reader. They will return to Nassau, and they will depart on Saturday afternoon. We have met with the recce team. The recce team came from London, and we had a number of options that we considered for this trip. We looked at a whole list of options, but at the end of the day, because of the limited time, we could only put in so many a limited number of activities. I know Her Excellency would have wished they could stay for 4 or 5 days so we could really show everything, but we had to reduce it, and this is what we came up. Both sides, the planning committee here and the London team, agreed to these events, and so we think it's going to be a spectacular time. And let me tell you, the Bahamian people will not be disappointed, and the Duke and Duchess will leave you with a wow. A wow. I see why they say it's better in the Bahamas. Thank you.
Thank you, co-chairs Jack Thompson and Her Excellency Miller Bryce. We're going to talk a little about security and what's going to happen. I'm going to invite ACP Ken Strawn to come from the Royal Defense Police Force, and then from the Defense Force we do have a representative as well, Mr. Brown, to come and talk about their role as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Good morning, viewing audience. Good morning to each of you who are gathered here this morning. Following the information which was passed to you by Her Excellency and also P.S. Thompson, the Royal Bahamas Police Force, along with the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, have spent an enormous amount of time preparing its strategies for the execution of security in and around the events for New Providence, Abaco, and Grand Bahama. Our activities will start here, as P.S. Thompson indicated, with an honor guard that will receive their excellencies at the Royal Aircraft once it lands here in New Providence. The Governor General will greet the Duke and Duchess. The honor guard will combine of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force as well as the Royal Bahamas Police Force with a combined band. After that inspection, the travel path will lead us here to the office of the Prime Minister. Road closures are expected and diversions along the travel path. The travel path from the airport will take us along John F. Kennedy Drive, over here to Bahama Boulevard, traveling north on Bahama Boulevard to Cable Beach, along the West Bay Street, culminating here at the Prime Minister's office. The travel path again will be along West Bay Street, continuing along Bay Street, onto Paradise Island. And I'm sharing this information for those of you who wish to come out and see the convoy that will be traveling. Security, no doubt, will be enforced, and as I had indicated earlier, there will be traffic diversions along the path. On the following morning, that is Friday, the convoy is expected to travel along Mackey Street from the Paradise Island Bridge onto Wolf Road, turning east to Marathon Road, along Marathon Road to Robinson Road, across the east-west highway into Independence Drive, onto Blue Hill Road, then onto Carmichael Road, heading into the Sybil Strawn Primary School. Again, diversions and traffic road closures will take effect along that path, traveling from the Carmichael Primary School onto Blue Hill Road, north on Blue Hill Road to Wolf Road, traveling east to East Street, north along East Street to Shirley Street, turning west on Shirley Street, culminating at the Senatard via Parliament Street. Once again, I reiterate, there will be traffic diversions and road closures. The event in Parliament Square as well as the Senatard will certainly impact the vehicular traffic in the corridor surrounding Bay Street. There will be road closure from Charlotte Street through to East Street. Officers will be in place diverting traffic, so if there is not much of a need to be in that area other than coming to view, those diversions will take effect, and you might wish to identify which parking areas you will accommodate you during the time that we will be in the downtown area. So that closure in downtown will take effect from around 9:30 a.m. on that Friday morning, and which will end around 1:30 p.m. once that is concluded, we will travel back to Paradise Island, as P.S. Thompson had indicated, to back along East Bay to Paradise Island. And then the travel path from Paradise Island to Montague will impact the flow of traffic from Montague towards Montague, traveling via the Paradise Island Bridge, heading east to Montague. And for those who are intent on visiting that area, there will be disruptions to traffic around Montague during the regatta site. And there is a limited parking in that area. So if you are thinking to travel in that area, do come early, and you may want to do a bit of carpooling to get you to that vicinity. So the regatta will take place from around noon going into about 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That pretty much will culminate the morning events, and during the afternoon, the travel path will take the principals from Paradise Island along Shirley Street, making their way back here to Cable Beach to Bahama, where the reception is expected to take place. The activities will culminate in New Providence on Friday evening, and as P.S. Thompson has indicated, the route will take us into the Lynden Pinden International Airport, where the aircraft will leave and travel over to the Leonard A. Thompson Airport in Marshaba, Abaco, and therefrom the travel will take us to the church, as was mentioned, and from that church, which is the Daystar Church, we will make our way to a site along Bay Street. For those of you in Abaco familiar with Colors, or the road on Bay Street from Commonwealth Bank taking you over to the Abaco Beach and Resort, there's an area which has been dubbed a memorial area, which the Duke and Duchess will visit, and some activities will take place there. Therefrom, we will move back to Dundas Town at the Fish Fry, and so all are invited to come out and enjoy. Again, we're inviting persons to be aware that security will be enforced, so be prepared to not bring in the usual items you don't need. It is important that we pay attention to that, and those of you also attending the Governor General's event, certainly screenings will take place, so you're encouraged not to bring things that you don't need to have along with you to minimize the time in which you are being allowed into the arena. And I must caution you, those of you at the Governor's event, it's an invitation only, so be prepared that if you turn up without your government-issued ID or invitation, you might be disappointed. So I encourage you to ensure that you have those things with you when you come to that particular event. And any of the other events, those who are functioning in a work capacity will be properly adorned in their various government-issued badges for the events. So finally, we leave Abaco and make our way into Grand Bahama the same day around 12 noon. While they're in Grand Bahama, our first visit will take us over to the children's home, thereafter to Coral Vita. And the Duke and Duchess want to spend a little time in the water, so we will take to the waters and go underwater in Grand Bahama for about an hour or so, where they will participate in the reseeding of coral back into the floor of the waters of the Bahamas. So we look forward to a wonderful 3 days of activities, and this will involve a number of officers, as has been indicated, from both agencies who have been fully immersed and engaged in preparation for this event. And we are seeking the cooperation of you, the members of the public, during this particular period, and we look forward to a spectacular event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ACP Ron. We're going to invite now Senior Commodore Frederick Brown, Senior Commander, Frederick Brown. We're not promoting him just yet.
Good afternoon, all. Once again, yes, I am Senior Commander Frederick Brown, Royal Bahamas Defense Force. On behalf of the Commander Defense Force, I wish to inform you that the Royal Bahamas Defense Force is in full readiness for the execution of this exercise. It is intended to conduct some 15 major operations in collaboration with the Royal Bahamas Police Force and using some 5 to 6 platforms, i.e. the maritime, air, medical, transportation, and of course the Harbour Patrol Unit there in Nassau Harbour. Against that backdrop, we have already crossed the line in our operations, and we're looking forward to the tangible results at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senior Commander. Any questions, media, before we move on to other matters? Yes, of course. Jasper, how can we help?
Can you say how much this entire thing is costing the Bahamas?
Jasper, you just held up a sign and said that's what I'm going to ask. I can tell you that I'm going to invite P.S. Thompson, but I know I asked as well, and they're still waiting on a number of figures to come in, and so they don't have that figure for us. I wanted that figure today. They're still waiting on some other figures to come in before they can give that. And so we will release that, hopefully, if not before, after the event, that you'll have that. So you feel free to ask me again next week, well, following week when we have the press conference. I'm sure you will. Anybody else? Yes, Royce.
Thank you very much. Is it typical for the royal family to contribute a portion or cover a portion of this trip, or is it entirely at the expense of the Bahamas? Out of curiosity.
They've been doing the royal family. I'll let them do that.
Thank you very much for your question. Now, it is customary for the host country to absorb the cost. Accommodations, meals for the couple and the staff. So that is the standard. I thank you for your question. I appreciate your question.
Are there any other questions? Great. All right. Thank you so much for that update, and we do look forward to a festive time next week in our country. I'm going to invite Rochelle Newbold, Climate Change Advisor in OPM, to talk about something that's launched today that you may want to be aware of. So come, Advisor Newbold, and give us a quick update on that.
Thank you and good morning. Many of you would have heard me talk about the Climate Youth Conference that is to be going in the Bahamas July 6th through the 8th of this year. I'm happy to advise the public that the climate change website, the conference website, youthclimateconference.gov.bs is now open. Applications, you can get online, put in your applications for attendance at the conference, as well as to register for. And yes, I see that lovely website is scrolling behind me, as well as to make your applications for the competition for the students who will be a part of the official delegation to Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt in COP27. So we also intend to do some Facebook Lives with the schools, with students who will be registering for participation in the competition so that we can advise them on any questions or concerns that they have. But this is indeed a very important regional conference. We already have our youth colleagues in Egypt seeking to be a part of this, as well as Africa, which is going to be the country of greatest concern in COP27, but as always, island states such as the Bahamas, because of the issues of climate change, remain at the forefront. So us hosting, this is a regional conference with all the youths from around the world participating with our Bahamian children is very much an important event, and we want all to apply. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rochelle Newbold, for that. All right, so a couple of announcements I want to give you from Prime Minister this morning. Obviously, you would have recognized that yesterday we observed in the country the 6-month mark since the Davis administration assumed office. In that time, Prime Minister Philip Davis and his government have made exceptional strides for Bahamians coming into office at the height of the pandemic and an economic crisis. It was not an easy task to steer the country in the right direction, but nonetheless, it was done. Prime Minister Davis wanted to give an overview of some of the accomplishments of the Davis administration. Firstly, in the fight against against COVID. We've implemented the distribution of free masks. This is to both adults and children. Medical masks, as 100,000 children masks were also provided at the Ministry of Education. Free testing on New Providence and Grand Bahama, with other islands coming on stream. Ongoing rollouts on various islands has contributed to the success in fighting COVID. Also, provided access to doctors in the form of town hall meetings, expanded capacity at the hospital, and hired additional nurses and doctors. The removal of the travel visa, firstly the fees and then the visa altogether for Bahamians, managed restriction of the border, tightening when necessary, and also, as you've just realized, relaxing some of the restrictions as cases decline. We began settling outstanding promotions and regularization exercises in the public service. The Ministry of Education Task Force established to address learning loss. The smooth reopening of schools amid the pandemic to hybrid learning. Housing initiative in Abaco and New Providence have begun in order to get Bahamians in homes. The $500 lump sum was paid for unemployed individuals. Public service pension has been increased. The VAT reduction to 10%. The virtual visitation program launched at Her Majesty's Prison. Some of those inmates had not seen their family in 2 years and are now able to visit with them. The Department of Immigration has recruited 175 young Bahamians, the largest recruitment exercise in history. Successfully handled the largest repatriation exercise of migrants. The opening of new airport terminal in Ragged Island. A memorandum of understanding signed between the governments of the Bahamas and the United Arab Emirates. The government partnership with private sector for cash incentives for COVID vaccinations, totaling $100,000. A new House of Assembly signed for new heads of agreement, signed for $200 million for cotton pay holdings in Eleuthera. Is something significant, promising to create some 500 jobs. The Ministry of Social Services established partnership with NGOs in surveilling the communities, started an extensive road repairs program, the reopening of the straw market in nearly 20 months, industry discussions on implementing national trade policy, the refurbishment of sporting facilities in New Providence, organized weekly press briefings and cabinet briefings for the media to greater access to the government, climate change, more compliance, and signing on to international agreements. And so pretty much, as you can see, the administration has not been sitting around twiddling thumbs or trying to unveil things that have been done in the previous administration. The administration has been working. Goes against, of course, the commentary that some have written saying that it's been a lazy start. As you can see, it's been a very aggressive start in 6 months, and it will ramp up as we go along. Proof is always in the pudding. And for your asking, is always documented so you can have it, rather than just rhetoric. Also, Prime Minister Davis would have met yesterday with a very special visitor. In his first visit to the office of the Prime Minister since leaving office, former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram presented a copy of his new book to Prime Minister Davis, the book titled, I Say What I Mean, and I Mean What I Say. We all know that. Hubert Ingram, in his own words, Volume 1. It is the first in a volume of 3 and collect Ingram's significant speeches and statements. Prime Minister Davis said he felt honored that former Prime Minister Ingram broke his sabbatical of not coming to office of the Prime Minister. He congratulated former Prime Minister Ingram on his new book. The two shared fond memories and agreed that it is important for the history of the Bahamas to be written for the next generation. It was interesting when Prime Minister Ingram said, well, I've not been back here since I was asked to leave. And so we're excited to have received him yesterday with Prime Minister Davis. As you would have heard us talk about in our accomplishments, the mask mandate relaxed. The current COVID-19 numbers show a stark decline in new infections. This is encouraging for the Davis administration as it signals that restrictions can be relaxed and normal business can now further continue with a minimal impact of this disease. As such, we've decided to relax several measures. The most notable will be the relaxation of mask mandates. Around the world, we see countries dropping mask mandates, and while we cannot drop it fully, we have given a bit of breathing room. A person is not required, as you're aware, to wear a face mask while in a lobby, corridor, or casino of a hotel, or while in an outdoor setting where there is at least 3 feet of space between persons who are not the same household. So you can drop those masks should you desire to. We know a lot of Bahamians were very cautious people. Many of us will continue to wear our masks until we feel we just can't take it anymore. But continue to follow protocols. We encourage people to do that, even with the loosening of some of these. Disabled persons or persons with special medical conditions, special needs persons, not required to wear a mask, provided such persons have in their possession a medical certificate or letter signed by a medical medical practitioner providing the existence of such disability or medical condition. The public is reminded that every person is encouraged to wear a mask while away from his or her residence and the company of persons who are not members of his or her household. Business establishments are required to deny entry to any person not wearing a mask or not wearing a face mask covering in their nose and mouth. We will continue to monitor this. As you know, we see trends happening around the world. We see things happening around the world. And so we're mindful that we're not out of the woods just yet. But as we need to adjust, those decisions will be made. There's social gathering relaxation as well. A person may host or attend a social gathering indoors at a private residence or facility, provided that attendance is limited to 75% of the occupancy of the private residence or facility. All attendees must either be fully vaccinated or present a valid negative COVID-19 test result and adhere to COVID-19's protocols. A person may also host or attend a social gathering held outdoors with not more than 300 persons, provided that all attendees must either be fully vaccinated or present that test, a negative test. That's important. Concerts, carnivals, fairs, junkanoo, or carnival parades, inclusive of practices or rallies, do require the approval of the Emergency Operations Committee of the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and they are approving those events based on whether or not you have the requirements in place. Social distancing requirement, please maintain and observe those, please, as they've been outlined. They're on our website and our Facebook pages for you. And finally, Prime Minister Davis is concerned about what's happening in crime. He will make a few statements on that a little later in some of his public appearances. But this morning, he would have met with the Acting Commissioner of Police, Clayton Fernando, in office to discuss crime strategies in the wake of the spike in murders throughout the country and what is reportedly developing, what Mr. Fernando would have described as gang wars and these things happening, on getting an update on how we're addressing it, how we're dealing with it, whether we have the resources, committing his government's resources to this fight to ensure that Bahamians are safe. It is a major priority of this administration to ensure the safety of Bahamians. And so Prime Minister Davis communicated that to the Acting Commissioner today and committed that whatever resources need to be available will be made available to keep our people safe. Those are the announcements from prime ministers. Let's take questions from our media representatives, and we will begin with Rashad Roll, Tribune. Hi, Rashad.
Hey, Clint. What's the status of the Over the Hill unit and the program that they were overseeing?
As you know, the previous administration had a unit called the Over the Hill Redevelopment Project. That unit doesn't exist, but the work continues. A number of projects, particularly the redevelopment of the Southern Recreational Grounds, are continuing. They're continuing on the different entities, on the different initiatives, but the work continues, and as a matter of fact will be expanded for these particular communities. But the Davis administration didn't have a specific need for that particular unit. A lot of those persons who were in that unit are no longer here, but the work continues, and the people will feel the impact of the administration and are now still feeling it. There are a number of cleanup campaigns that are going on. The parks and beaches are doing their part with contracts to ensure the redevelopment of those parks. As I told you, the Southern Recreational Ground continues. So the work will continue, not under a heading of a department, but the initiatives will continue. And like I said, the people will feel the presence of the government in that particular community. All right. Any other questions? Yes, Jared?
Wanted to ask about the Christopher Columbus statue. It was vandalized 5 months ago, and if you drive past Government House now, it's still covered with the blue tar. What's going to happen to it?
That decision has not been made as yet. It's something that will have to be presented before Cabinet, particularly as you see the renovations are continuing there, and Cabinet will make a decision as to what happened. We spoke to Prime Minister about it. It's something he will discuss with his colleagues, and the final decision will be made.
Do you think he's minded to remove the statue? I know before, the Director of Communications in this office, before he had that title, he would have expressed that that statue ought to be removed. Is that something that you think that Cabinet might be, or the Prime Minister might be minded to do? I know we commented on it before.
Right. What I do know is that Prime Minister Davis is really big on consultation with his colleagues. And so even if there's a decision that he personally shares, it does not bear the end reward if his cabinet colleagues differ. And that's why he wanted to carry it to them to see what the general consensus is on that. And so I'm sure that whatever his personal views are, whatever cabinet decides is what will stand in the end.
Is it a difficult decision? It's been 5 months.
I don't think so. It's just a matter of prioritizing what has been important for us. And what has been important for us is getting people back to work, keeping people safe with the COVID protocols, ensuring that people can manage in these difficult times financially. Those are priorities. And so the statute, while it's important, as you can imagine, won't take precedence over those other issues. And that's what the administration has been busy doing for the 6 months, is getting the country going, getting people addressed, people back to work, trying to find solutions to pressing matters. But that's on the agenda, and it'll get dealt with. All right, thank you. Jose Eddie, Eyewitness News.
Yes, sir. So could you speak to some of the deductions that Cabinet would have reportedly approved for various government ministries? Obviously, that was met with great criticism.
Yeah, a lot of those initiatives are being addressed right now as we speak in the House of Assembly. Cabinet ministers are addressing what people concerned were reductions in certain things. And so I will leave that to them to speak to their particular ministries, especially since some of them haven't spoken yet. I don't want to preempt their speeches today in Parliament. But what we can tell you, though, is we're not cutting budgets that are significant to the redevelopment of our country. What you will find happening is a reallocation of finances and not a definite cut. So what you may find is a $20 million budget cut in a particular ministry. Let's say, for example, I'll give you an example, education. You'll be like, why are we cutting back on education? We're not. We're reallocating funds probably from a different area for a particular task that's needed right now in education. So it's not cutting, it's reallocating and curtailing, cutting the cloth to fit what it is that we're trying to accomplish as an administration right now. So it's not taking money away from something that's important. It's reallocating and ensuring that the right funds are directed, or what money would have been allocated for. You may find that it was done under somebody else's budget, and so that money was moved so that it's not doubly stated. Yeah. All right. Eyewitness News. We had Eyewitness News. We had Rashad. Tyler, JCN. Hi, Tyler.
Yesterday, the Director of Health Emergencies, Dr. Serugarte, he mentioned that because of the war in Ukraine, that freight and shipping is increasing every single day for the Caribbean. So I just wanted to know if the Bahamas experiencing any trouble shipping PPEs and any other kind of medical supplies.
And I wouldn't specify just medical supplies. There is a delay because you can imagine countries all over the world are fighting to get supplies into their country from various things, whether it's food supply, whether it's clothing, whether it's other kinds of merchandise. There is a delay because, of course, what happened earlier in the pandemic, and now with what's going on in the Middle East and, of course, European countries, those challenges remain, particularly in Europe. And so what it is trying to find ways to get other things into the country. There's no over concern right now. We've not had over concern by any of the shipping companies or people saying we're in trouble, but we're monitoring it to ensure that there is a consistent flow of goods being able to come into the country, but nothing that we should be overly alarmed about at this point. All right, Sloan. Is Sloan here? Oh, Roy. Sorry, Royston, you're here for Sloan. Anybody else with questions? I think I got everybody. Jasper, yes, how can I do it here? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jasper.
So my first question is for Mr. Thompson, just on the renovations at Government House, when you can see that it's completed.
I want to know too, Jasper. That's a good question.
Wow. The approximate date for Government House, the completion of renovations, continue to shift because, as you can imagine, every time you go into something, you find there's something else, and we've been having that. First, it was due to be completed in December last year, and then we thought we'd have it completed by April this year, and then I heard by July this year. So I'm not going to stand here and make any commitments to a final date, save and except to say that the work is well in its advanced stages. The ballroom, they've completely renovated the roof. The house, the roof, we had leaking, the place was leaking, terrible state, but it's advancing very, very good. I've had several tours, and I think you're going to be very, very proud of Government House. But I want to stay away from nailing down a date because I don't want to set that expectations. The contractor, Mr. Floyd Wilmot, and those, they're giving it their best and it's going to be a wonderful product at the end of the day. The Governor General often say that's our front door. That's where people come when they're visiting the Bahamas, and so we'll see.
What's the price tag on that so far?
I need to check with finance on that. I know initially it was around $6 million, but I don't know now what it is. I don't know. Yeah.
Other questions for Mr. Watson?
Sure.
There was this community center that was started under the Minutes administration on Abaco. It was originally said that project, which I think also was being developed through some donated funds, was supposed to be completed last summer. We haven't heard any updates on that. Can you maybe provide an update on when we can see the completion of that? It was supposed to act not only as a community center, but as a hurricane shelter and all these other things on the island of Abaco?
I can find out for you. It's come up so many times, even among the press. I thought that question may have been answered by the DRA chairman when he was here last. I'm not sure. But we can find out for you when it's expected to be completed. We heard about the challenges they were experiencing as far as with funding for it. Abaco has had challenges as far as committed funding. Not all of the funding that has been committed or that were earmarked, you can actually see it on those particular projects. That's been a challenge. As you know, there were some concerns about a housing initiative that was announced by a private partnership with government in the previous administration, and that's not happening. And so it's even put more pressure on the Ministry of Housing and the minister to get houses built in Abaco. And as you would have seen, ground broken on that a few weeks ago. Because this big issue for Abaco is people can't return if they have no place to live. There were some promises that were made that were not delivered. And so the government is trying to strategically find ways to provide accommodation and homes for people in Abaco. Teachers need them. Government employees need them. Workers need them. And they can't do the work if they don't have any place to live. So it's a priority that we're trying to find out. But as you know, that in itself is a story about monies that were earmarked that have not bear fruit the way it should have. Anybody else? All right, thanks. So let's move to our final segment now, which is highlighting Bahamians and their outstanding food businesses. We have two vendors. Ash Food Haven. Sean Ashley Thompson is here. I'm going to invite her to come, as well as Lakeitra Wilmot from Old Sweet House. We know what that's all about. Come on and tell us about your businesses, ladies, and what we're sharing with our guests today. Ashley?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean Ashley Thompson. I am the owner of Ash Food Haven. We are a private chef/catering business. We also provide meal prep. I know sometimes you're busy, you don't want to make your meals, so we do that service for you. We also deliver those food to you so you don't have to move. We have a new service now where we provide cooking lessons. If you don't know how to cook, we show you how to make your favorite meal. We can do that virtually through Zoom. COVID is still real, so we understand. Or we can come to your home and teach you step by step. Thank you.
Tell them what we're having today.
Yeah, so today we're having some of my customers' favorite menu items. So for my vegans, we have vegan meatballs that's made from chickpeas. Delicious. It is. Also, we have creamy lemon salmon bites with garlic mashed potato, and a favorite of mine is my apple cinnamon glazed pork chops. So that's the menu for today.
How can they reach you?
So you can reach me on Instagram at ashfood_Haven, and my telephone contact is 242-395-1586.
Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lakeitra Wilmot, and today I am here to showcase my business, which is Old Sweet House. We are a big shop, so we specialize in cakes, cupcakes, sweet treats, celebration cakes, wedding cakes. We have candy tables, dessert tables as well. Today I am offering 4 of my fan favorites. That's our red velvet with the cream cheese mousse. We have chocolate, double chocolate, vanilla, and cookies and cream. You can find me on social media at O Sweet House, Facebook, and Instagram is o.sweet242, as well as WhatsApp, which is 466-3570.
All right, so we have some great treats for all of you. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to serving you whenever we need to serve us. You know to reach us here at the office of the Prime Minister. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
This public service announcement has been brought to you by the Bahamas National Trust in conjunction with the Broadcast